Well, guys, welcome to the Eat, Pray, Faith podcast with Dr. Tracy. That's me. And today we're going to be doing part two of our lecture on cholesterol. And I think, part one had a tremendous amount of downloads. So if you missed that, just go back. It's in season two. I have to look at the episode, but it's right before this one. So make sure that you go and you listen to that first because you're going to want to understand all the benefits of cholesterol before we start diving into this lecture, which is primarily going to be about statins, how they work in the body, what they do to create breakdown. And then I'm going to give you some solutions if you are diagnosed with high cholesterol, which we now know isn't a bad thing. The only bad cholesterol in the body is unused cholesterol. So if it's being produced by the liver, there is a reason for it, and we want the body to actually use it. So we're going to go through some high level, again, information based in cholesterol. So let's get started. Without further ado, let's just go. So what are statins? Well, these are a class of prescription drugs that help lower cholesterol. And they actually block an enzyme that the body uses to make cholesterol in the liver. I'm going to talk more about this enzyme, but I want to give you an overview first because we're going to spend some time on this enzyme and this biological function of this enzyme in the body. Because when these statins are utilized to break it down and to inhibit it from actually producing cholesterol, that has a secondary impact not only on the structures and physiological need of the cholesterol in the body, but also what does this particular enzyme do in the body? And if we stop it, what secondary issues can we get? And we can see these from the side effects of the statin drug. Very interesting, the correlation. So I think sometimes we look at side effects of medications and we think, oh, it's just a toxic side effect. It's not. A lot of times when a medication is inhibiting a process, it's creating a biological breakdown in your body, a disease engine in your body. And so I want you to hear me today when we talk about these statin drugs. I am in no means telling you to stop your prescribed medication. What I am telling you is to research on your own, make sure you learn and have hard conversations with your doctor. And if that doctor is not willing to listen to you, then you need to fire your doctor and find somebody who will. Second, make the necessary changes in your life in order not to need these pharmaceuticals, which my personal opinion, and I am a practitioner, but I'm not your practitioner, is that statin drugs are a fraud. They truly are. There's no correlation with the reduction of cardiovascular disease with their increased use over the last 2 decades. We still have more cardiovascular disease, even prior to the jab. People died of cardiovascular disease more than all cancers combined, and that was pre-jab. So let's stay with that thought process, shall we? So what happens here? Well, the liver produces about 75% of the body's blood cholesterol. So we learned that last time. We learned the benefits of cholesterol. We've learned that cholesterol is utilized in the production of hormones, in repairing endothelial tissue, which is part of your blood-brain barrier. It's part of your digestive system. It's part of your vascular system, including your renal system. We also learned that cholesterol helps rebuild brain, neurotransmitters. So it does a multitude of things. It helps with vitamin D. So many things that it does. Again, go back and listen to it. But today we're going to talk about statins because it's very important that we understand what they are and how they work. So first, let's go through some common name statins just so you realize what they are. There's about, from 2013 until now, there's been 149% increase in the use of prescription statins. That's amazing. 149% increase. Now, if these things were doing their job, wouldn't you think there'd be a decrease? But that's not the case. So here's your types of statins. We have Lipitor, we have simvastatin, which is Zocor, lovastatin, which is Mevacor, pitavastatin, which is these names. Honestly, can't we just name something easy? Livalo, Rosuvast, statin, Crestor, that's Crestor, Lescol, and then we have Prevestatin, which is Prevacol, Lipostat, and Selectine. So nice names. Yeah, we just couldn't call them like statins, right? That'd be too hard. So, in natural health, we call vitamin C vitamin C. It's pretty much how it works. But anyway, I digress. So these are the types that are out there. So if you're on these medications, again, not telling you to stop, I legally can't do that, but you can make your own educated decision. However, I am going to give you the risks that are associated with these, and I'm going to tell you how they work. So the very first thing is to understand this little enzyme that statins block, because extremely important. So they work by lowering the level of LDL specifically. That's your low density lipoprotein. What the allopathic would tell you is bad cholesterol, but now we know that LDL is vital. And so this cholesterol flows from the liver into the bloodstream, and the LDL production is blocked by an enzyme, or excuse me, the statins block the enzyme that helps produce LDL, which is called 3-hydroxy-3-methylgluteryl coenzyme A. Holy mackerel, that's a mouthful, isn't it? So for the point of this lecture in particular, we are not going to call it that. We are going to call it something simple, something pretty, something that, excuse me, everyone can remember, because that's a level of ridiculousness we don't need to have. So for the point of this lecture, and it is called this, we're going to call it HMG CoA reductase. Okay. So this enzyme, HMG CoA reductase, reduces down acetylcholine A. Now, a lot of initials are coming your way. Don't get overwhelmed. I just want you to understand. Okay. The process begins at the top with acetylcholine A. This acetylcholine A is a 2-carbon molecule, and it's sometimes referred to as the building block of life. Okay, so right here, we have acetylcholine A. It's called the building block of life, and there are 3 acetylcholine A molecules that combine together, and they form this 6-carbon HMG CoA reductase. This specific enzyme is formed by 3-acetylcholine A, known as the building blocks of life, form this enzyme that is going to create cholesterol. And so if you have something called the building block of life that combines to create an enzyme that's going to create cholesterol, why would you make a drug to stop it? What statin drugs do is work by inhibiting the enzyme HMG CoA. Hence, the formal name is called, statins are called HMG CoA reductase inhibitors. These are HMG inhibitors. That's what statins do. They stop this enzyme from doing its job to make cholesterol. Now, herein lies one potential for numerous side effects. Because statin drugs inhibit not only just the production of cholesterol, but a whole family of intermediary substances, many, if not all, which have an important biological function in their own right, that come from this acetylcholine A forming HMG CoA and creating cholesterol. So not only are we reducing this enzyme, but we are reducing all of the biological chemical pathways behind it. And if you could see a chart of all of the biochemical pathways that are disrupted simply by inhibiting this HMG CoA, you would be shocked. But that's what side effects are. And as my good friend Joe Messina says, they're called direct effects, right? They're not side effects. They're just actually direct effects. So let's talk a little bit again. Making cholesterol, important roles. It builds strong cell membranes. The cell walls, right, are made from cholesterol and other materials we're going to talk about. It creates steroid hormones. Those are hormones such as cortisol. Now, people think that cortisol is bad. It's not necessarily bad. Cortisol at the right amount, your stress hormone, gets your body processes moving. It's telling you, like, get up, go, run, hurry. long-term cholesterol or long-term cortisol is an issue. It also helps with estrogen and testosterone production, which are your sex hormones. It helps produce bile acids and digest fat. And it also helps make vitamin D, which keeps your bones strong and also supports your immune system, especially against viral issues. Now, when we start to inhibit the HMG-CoA with statins, we are not only disrupting all of those processes I just talked about, because that plays a key role in creating the cholesterol that does those things, but in turn, it also is in the action of helping create energy during things like fasting and low-carb diets. Now, think about this. So someone's on a statin drug, and they want to change their life, and they come off the standard American diet, and they start going low carb, or they start doing intermittent fasting. Well, when you're not eating enough carbs, like during a fast, your body turns to fat for energy. HMG-CoA, the enzymes that statin blocks, is vital in creating what are called ketone bodies. So ketones are an alternative fuel source for your brain, your heart, and your muscles. Okay, stop right there. Ketone bodies are an alternative fuel source for your brain, heart, and muscles. Now, I want you to think about what statin drugs do and what some of the side effects are. Muscle pain, right? They also have neurodegenerative long-term studies on high use of statin drugs. Why? Well, we just talked about that in the last podcast. Cholesterol helps build your brain. So when we take away this enzyme that produces cholesterol, and our body cannot create ketone bodies that are fuel for your brain, heart, and muscle, what do you think is going to happen to your brain, heart, and muscles? Well, they're going to become atrophied. So is this going to help long-term cardiovascular disease? Is this going to help long-term brain health? Is this going to help long-term muscle retention? I think not. I mean, common sense would have you draw that parallel. So there's 3 types of ketone bodies that are produced from this HMG-CoA. And one is the main energy molecule. And I'm not getting into all the big names because it's not important. One is an efficiency energy source, especially for the brain. And then one is a byproduct that's exhaled, and that's called keto breath. And that's how you measure ketone bodies, right? You can also do that through urine. So these ketones are lifesavers. And when glucose is in short supply, or you have somebody that's diabetic and they can't regulate the insulin or whatever that looks like, you have a secondary issue over it. Or if somebody's on the standard American diet and they have high sugar and they're on a statin, well, they're definitely not going to be able to produce enough ketones. And they're definitely going to have brain, heart, and muscle issues. All right. Third, this HMG-CoA enzyme that produces cholesterol, that helps produce cholesterol. So it basically is a catalyst for cholesterol production. I want to make sure I say things correctly. That statins inhibit is part of a process that adds these anchors to certain proteins called prenylation, I'm sorry. So these anchors actually help proteins stick to cell membranes. Now, this is important because this is supporting protein function in cells. So when you have this prenylation and these anchors help stick proteins to the cell membranes, they do their job. And so what do? Well, they help cells communicate and work together. They also organize cell structures. They transport important molecules within the cells. Without this process, cells will struggle and not function properly. Okay. Number 4, HMG-CoA is a starting point for creating what are called isoprenoids. Now, these are chemical building blocks that are used to assemble things called glycoproteins. And glycoproteins are proteins with a sugar molecule attached, and they are essential for cell communication and immune function. So when you're taking a statin, you are not creating isoprenoids. You are not helping assemble glycoproteins, and you are not helping your cells communicate and your immune stay your immune function stay optimal. Also, CoQ10, ubiquinone, that's a molecule that helps your cells make energy and acts as a powerful antioxidant to protect them from damage. When you inhibit HMG-CoA, these isoprenoids cannot build CoQ10. Third, it can't build heme A, which is an important part of the machinery, cytochromes, in your cells for energy factories for your mitochondria. So you have weak, non-energetic cells. You have cells that don't have a powerful antioxidant to protect them from damage, which is called CoQ10. And you can't assemble glycoproteins because you've inhibited this HMG-CoA. All right, this is a lot, I know, but I want you to understand how important cholesterol production is in the body and this specific enzyme that is involved in more than just cholesterol, apparently. And when we take a statin, it doesn't discriminate and say, oh, okay, some of the HMG-CoA, you can go do these things like fuel your immune system and make other important molecules and, create energy and mitochondria and support protein function. No, it just stops the entire thing. And so everything that I'm talking about today is inhibited due to the consumption of this prescription that has been propaganded into society through indoctrination for you to believe that you need it. And they scare the bejesus out of you if you don't take it. Okay, let's talk about more molecules made from HMG-CoA. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is the enzyme that is the catalyst in the production of cholesterol. It is also the enzyme that statins target and inhibit. One, so cholesterol cannot be produced, specifically LDL. But we're now learning that if we inhibit it or just cholesterol production, we're also inhibiting this enzyme from making other molecules. So it helps regulate the immune response. For example, they assist in activating white blood cells to fight infections. Wait, hold on. So wait, HMG-CoA helps regulate immune responses by activating white blood cells. But if we're inhibiting it, what does that do? It also helps build and repair sugar-coated proteins that your immune cells use to recognize invaders. So we can definitely say that this means that HMG-CoA indirectly helps your body fight off diseases, and that by inhibiting it, you are more susceptible. All right, HMG-CoA is critical for cholesterol, obviously, which forms tiny patches in cell membranes called lipid rafts. Now, this is interesting. This helps cells send and receive signals. It also controls cell growth, divide, and death. And you're like, wait, I don't want my cells to die. Yes, you do. You do not want zombie cells. You want healthy cells or dead cells. There's no such thing as a good zombie cell. Remember, they eat brains. But this is more important in wound healing, also inflammation management and maintaining normal growth. One of the things that I look for in kids is a lipid panel. If kids are having an issue with growth, I will check their lipid panel and see if it's low. It's a little key for you. All right. We also know that cholesterol that comes from HMG-CoA is turned into steroid hormones and vitamin D. It also provides antioxidant protection. It's involved in creating that CoQ10 that we talked about. It also connects different energy systems in your body. So HME acts like traffic control director for the energy in your body. So depending on what is needed, it can help cholesterol if your cells are growing or repairing. It can make ketones if you're fasting. It can balance your carbohydrates, fats, and proteins and direct them to the right places where energy is needed. So when processes involving HMG-CoA are disrupted or inhibited, it's going to lead to problems such as low energy production, especially if ketone production is impaired. It can also lead to low blood sugar, energy crashes. It can also when this enzyme is blocked or reduced to lower cholesterol, it can also reduce that CoQ10 antioxidant, which is going to lead to that muscle pain and fatigue. So we now know that HMG-CoA is much more than a step in cholesterol production. It's kind of like the Swiss Army knife for your metabolic function and helping your body. So why would we take something that's going to reduce something so vital in biological processes? Why would we take something that they're telling us is going to prevent heart disease? I mean, guys, we have to be smart. We went from 37 million people in 2013 to 92 million users in 2018 and 2019. The annual number of statins prescribed increased from 460 million to 818 million. That's a 70% increase between 2008 and 2019, with no reduction in cardiovascular disease. I want you to understand that there are things that you can do that are going to help you. And I'm going to give you one simple solution today. And I'm also going to link the protocol in the show notes for what I want you to do. Okay? So first, let's talk about the standard American diet. Guys, if you don't know better by now, I don't know what to tell you. And I don't mean men, I mean everybody. Okay? Now, if you are that person listening to this podcast and you eat terribly and you are on cholesterol meds and you do not want to change your nutrition, then you can stop listening right now, because all health begins at the end of your fork. You can't outrun a bad diet. And so you need to switch to whole foods, organic, non-GMO. Take inflammatory foods out of your nutrition plan. That doesn't mean no fun. That means stop eating your white bread sandwiches, your bagels and cereal for breakfast, and your processed hungry meals or hungry man dinners at dinner. Stop doing those things that are not real food. Remember, as my friend Jamie Dorley always says, there's no such thing as junk food. It's either junk or food. It's either going to produce life in your body or it's going to destroy life in your body. So that's first. If you need a nutrition plan, you need to talk to somebody that can help you. Reach out to me. I'll put my link in here. I have practitioners that can help you. We can help look at your lifestyle, look at your nutrition, and help you make better choices. Second, one of the things that people tell me all the time is I'm doing all the right things, but my cholesterol is still high. Okay. If that's the case, you're going to look at your hormones, especially women. Guys, remember, high cholesterol is not bad. Unused cholesterol is bad. We don't want cholesterol that's not being used because it has a vital thing to do in your body. It's not about the cholesterol number. It's about the fact that it's not being used in your body to do what it's supposed to do. You're more worried about that piece of paper than the actual deficiency that your body has in using the cholesterol. That's kind of like having a bottle of vitamin D and not taking it. It's on your shelf. I always tell people it works better out of the bottle. You have cholesterol in your body. It's being produced by your liver for a reason. Why isn't your body using it? And it's probably because you don't have enough. Enough what? Well, I'm going to give you that here in a second. But I want you to pay attention to your markers. You can't guess the problem. Why guess when you can test? Do a simple baseline panel. It will literally cost you $75 to $100 to go get a blood draw. Cash out of pocket. It is worth it. If you have a PCP, if you have a practitioner that will do a blood draw on you, you want a CBC with differential. You want a CMP. That's a comprehensive metabolic panel. You want a total serum iron. And you also want your lipid panel. You want all four of those. Those are a good baseline to start with. You should have that drawn once a year, and you should have somebody that can interpret it with new eyes, not pharmacological eyes, but eyes on how to address your lifestyle, your nutrition, your hydration, your movement, your sleep, your elimination, your emotional, spiritual wellness. The doctor of the future will not prescribe medication, but adjust your lifestyle, because the issue with your cholesterol production is because of you and the environment you are putting yourself in, which your body is trying to save you from. You are either toxic or deficient or both, and you can overcome that with a few nutritional changes, a few lifestyle changes, and a little bit of supplementation. If you're not willing to do that, then you're listening to the wrong podcast. Because guys, I can't want it for you more than you want it for yourself. What I will tell you is over time, that statin, everything that we talked about today, will become an issue as you keep that HMG-CoA enzyme inhibited. All of the things that it does biochemically in your body, when you inhibit it, will stop. And the result of that will be cellular death. How long? I don't know. Again, I'm not telling you to stop your meds. I'm telling you to change your life. Okay, so good nutrition, hydration, movement, sleep, elimination, emotional, spiritual wellness, get your blood draw, balance your hormones, fix your life. There are no easy way out. No one's going to come save you, and there's no magic pill. Even all these GLP-1s you hear out there. Yes, it's going to help you lose weight. Yes, when you overdose on a medication, it works. But if you don't learn how to eat right, think right, move right, pray right, poop right, and do all those things right, you will end up in the exact same place prior to that first needle. And even with natural products that people are pushing, if they're not talking to you about your foundational health, your lifestyle health, your nutritional health, your movement health, your spiritual health, your emotional health, your mental health, all of those things, and giving you proper supplementation and fixing your gut and balancing your hormones, wrong practitioner, they're just as bad as someone who pushes a pharma drug. Yes, I just said that. And if you're offended because you're listening to this and you're one of those people, change. You can either get mad or you can get better. That's up to you. You should be doing that with your clients. If you have somebody that's coming in for weight loss, we have to remember that weight is not a product of always eating too much. It's a product of metabolic dysfunction that starts at the digestive system. It starts with L cell production of what are called incretins. If you don't know what those are, go watch my course, the Quick and Dirty Peptide course. I explain everything in there, how this works with GLP-1s. It is not a magic bullet, and you have to overdose people if it's a pharmaceutical, if they're not doing all the underlying things. And if they're not doing all the underlying things and you're using a natural one, you may get results initially, but the body always catches up. You cannot out-supplement or out-medicate a poor lifestyle. All right, soapbox speech over. Let's move on to solutions. All right, so first, cholesterol has to combine with things called phospholipids, which help create new and healthy cell membranes. It also helps them patch things. It also helps them rebuild things. So when they work synergistically, they create this lipid biolayer, which is just a fat layer. Lipid meaning fat, bi meaning two layers around a cell. Phospholipids form a double layer because with their hydrophilic, which means water-loving, head facing outward and their water-fearing tails facing inward, cholesterol inserts itself right in between there, and it has this little protective boat, and they form this cell membrane. So it helps regulate the fluidity of the cell. It helps maintain the permeability of the cell so substances can't pass in or out. It also helps support membranes of the lipid rafts that we talked about, really important, because those lipid rafts are those specialized areas of the cell membrane, which are rich in cholesterol and certain phospholipids. Now, there's 4 different kinds. We're not going to talk about all of those, but like phosphatidylcholine is a phospholipid. They also serve as a platform for signaling and proteins. They facilitate lipid transport. That means phospholipids form an outer shell of lipoproteins. Remember, we learned about that. Lipoproteins from our first lecture, making them water soluble for travel in the blood. And then cholesterol resides in both the outer shell and the core of these lipoproteins. So this helps the boat not sink. It also helps with cellular communication, membrane protein function. We talked about the function of protein here. Also helps with signal transduction. So that means that while cholesterol helps organize the membrane for optimal receptor function, the phospholipid provides the signaling. So we have this synergy that goes on between these good phospholipids, a phosphate group on a fat, with cholesterol to really protect cells from cell damage. It also supports myelin sheath and brain health. Stop. Supports myelin sheath and brain health. Hear me. The myelin sheath surrounds the axon. So you have the neuron has a head, an axon, it kind of looks like a tail, and at the bottom of it has these little tentacles. The axon, the myelin sheath, is what surrounds that axon and protects it. Myelin sheath degradation is associated with several neurodegenerative diseases. Several. If we can't protect our neurons, our brains will die. If we can't facilitate rapid signal transmission, we can't think. We can't find words. We can't move. And if we can't support brain cell structure and neurotransmitter release, we can't communicate neurologically. Phospholipids and cholesterol are also vital for digestion. They help bile formation. Together, they help emulsify dietary fats, making it easier to break down and absorb. They balance membrane stress. So cholesterol prevents membrane phospholipids from clustering too tightly because, too much of a good thing is still too much of a good thing. And conversely, phospholipids prevent excess cholesterol accumulation. So there's that. So if you have too much cholesterol, according to whomever, what do you have a deficit of? A phospholipid. So it also acts as a precursor for key molecules, cholesterol-derived molecules such as steroid hormones. So again, we're getting back into hormone balancing. We just talked about brain health. It's funny. The vascular damage, which is really the patching, is all about cellular health throughout your body. Right? So it's not just about patching vessels. Your cholesterol and phospholipids are used to repair your cells. I mean, that's amazing. So I just want you to hear me, okay? When we're talking about solutions, one simple thing that you can do is increase your intake of phospholipids so that cholesterol has a partner in maintaining the architecture and functionality of your cells. Build strong and adaptable membranes. Help your body facilitate communication and signaling. Support fat transport and energy. It's really important. So I'm going to put into the show notes my favorite product that I love by Body Bio. It is a PC, a phosphatidylcholine, and also an oil called balance oil. Those two together, I have seen work amazing magic in combining with cholesterol and helping the body overcome this excess non-use cholesterol in the body. For me, if cholesterol is going up, it's not being used. That's a deficiency in cholesterol. You need it. So I want you guys to understand that high cholesterol is your body telling you it needs something. Now, if you want natural sources of phospholipids, hang on, guys, wait for it. Eggs provide 100 grams. Eggs. What did they tell you to stop eating a few years ago to lower your cholesterol? I mean, what kind of morons are up there doing this research? I'm sorry, that was really mean. What kind of non-smart people are up there doing this research? Organ meats has tons of phospholipids, 5.4 grams per 100 grams. And I'm sorry, egg yolks have 10.3 grams per 100 grams. Meat and fish, soybeans. Uh-oh, there it is. I said soy. Oh my gosh, people are going to freak out. You don't have to eat soybeans, guys. Calm down. Oats, dairy products. Not dairy. Yes, dairy, just not processed dairy. Can we just stop drinking processed dairy? Go back to raw, whole dairy if you're going to have dairy. Okay. Again, you don't have to do it. Fruits and vegetables. So, guys, phospholipids are a major component of biological membranes. If you don't want to eat them, you can swallow them in a pill or an oil. Again, I'm putting the protocol below with the phosphatidylcholine, as well as the balance oil. Get both. It will help you optimize and utilize the excess cholesterol that is not being used in your body that you need for brain health, cardiovascular health, vascular integrity health, endothelial repair, and hormone health. Ladies, when I see women come on with hormone issues, first thing I do is give them the phosphatidylcholine and the balance. Do you need it forever? No, but you are deficient in it. So what I would recommend is supplement this for a month or so and increase your protein intake, your macros, good fats, always organic, non-GMO, decrease your processed food, increase your fruits and vegetables. If you do those things, you're going to be heart healthy, you're going to feel great, and you're going to utilize your cholesterol in ways that your body needs in order to be healthy throughout your life. Thanks for joining me. If you need me, you can always reach out at my website, www.tracystraupnd.com. I'll link it in the show notes. Make an appointment, take some of our classes at the Academy of Abiding Wellness. We are here to serve. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you subscribe, share this with somebody that needs to hear this information, and give me a like and follow on Facebook, Instagram, and all the social channels. God bless you.